Can you talk about the oldest family memory you can remember, or like a family tradition, something that was either talked about or done when you were a kid?
Okay. Family tradition. I remember doing like Thanksgivings on the Mitchell side, and also my grandpa Mitchell. Whenever somebody turned 5, he would make you Lincoln logs, like all the parts and pieces, whatever else. It was kind of cool.
Like by hand?
Yes, by hand in his basement. Very good workman, craftsman. Yep, nice guy. And it was always like 900 degrees at Grandpa's house too. We'd always hang out at his house for Thanksgiving and Christmas, squeezing everybody in there because my mom was one of 9, so there was a lot of us.
So big family tree.
Large family tree on both sides, mom and dad's.
Do you have any idea when our first ancestors came to America?
I know most of them have been
century.
here around for a while. Different sides of my family have been around, but I know that the Klein side of the family, which is my dad's mother, my dad's mother's side of the family was spelled C-L-I-N-E, but before that was K-L-E-I-N. And way back in there somewhere, there was a couple brothers, Frederick and somebody, that were in the French and Indian War.
So they're here for a while.
Long time.
Where has our family been located on your side? Ish.
Okay.
For the most part.
Most of them were in, well, when I was born, most of them were in New York State. But, they came from all over the place, Michigan and other areas. One of my grandpa Mitchell's came from Michigan area. But they were in New York when I was a kid, and that farm had been around for a while. My dad.
When we were talking the other day, you mentioned something about fur trapping. And so that would make sense being in New York and Michigan.
Yeah, that was Grandpa Mitchell.
Yep.
Whenever they trapped for fur, they would also eat.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the pieces, parts they would use on the trap line.
Can you tell me the oldest family member you met and how old they would be today if you would that be Grandpa Mitchell?
Either Grandpa Mitchell or Grandma Watson. Because Grandpa Mitchell, your mom was pregnant when he passed away, and he was in his 80s.
So he'd be somewhere around,
and that was 20 years ago.
Just over 100.
Yeah, and Grandma Watson, she was probably in her 80s somewhere when I was 4 when she passed away. Because I remember getting the...
When you were 4?
When I was 4, so I'm 52, almost 52.
So almost 130.
Yeah, 130 some years ago.
So she was born in the 1890s then?
Yeah, I don't remember when, but yeah.
Okay. So we've been up to 2 different family reunions, but I know every time we go up, you talk about the...
Yeah, I don't know if they still have the other ones. I mean, when I was a kid, we had the Klein reunion, the Quant reunion, the Mitchell reunion, the Watson reunion, and there's more in there.
And they were all...
We had like 6 of them.
All in New York area?
Yeah, they were all in New York. One was in Wellsville, one was in Hornell, one was in Belmont. It was in the Grange building. But yeah, they were all either Steuben or Allegheny County in New York.
So all about like an hour?
Yeah,
Ish.
less. Probably about 20 minutes away from each other in different towns.
Wow. Do you remember when the tradition of having the Watson family reunion started? Or who started it? Or how long ago?
I don't remember. We just celebrated I think it was 93 or 94 last summer. But, my sister would know. I'm pretty sure it's been 90 years for the Watson one.
So, yeah, you just answered my next question. I was going to ask how long they've kept record. So
Yeah, 94
95.
years. Yep,
This
94,
year.
95 years. They keep track of like births, what the names are, who they come from, if there's any divorces, if there's any adopted kids that come into it now.
Now, I know that they have elections the Watson reunion. Have you ever had a desire to be president of the Watsons?
No. My brother Larry's been president, I'd say, probably the last 10 years.
Oldest brother.
My oldest brother. And Annette has done secretary, and Gretchen, my sister Gretchen's done secretary too. Yeah.
So there are 6 of you, brothers and sisters, and then on your mom's side, there were 9. What about on your dad's side?
Dad had 11, but I know it wasn't Elizabeth. It was one of his sisters that passed away. She would have been like the 4th child. So technically 10. Yeah, and I've only met my Aunt Elizabeth once. She married and then moved out to California. So, yeah, there's a lot of people.
So every time we've gone up to visit family, we've been to the Belmont First Baptist Church. Do you know if, I mean, that church has been around for a while. Do you know if any relatives were involved in the founding of the church? I know that our relatives now run it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think so. But I know Grandpa Mitchell had been there forever. And then my mom grew up in that church. And then when my dad got saved a few years after they got married, he went to that church and was a member and was a deacon / elder. But yeah, it's been around for a while, 1800 something or 17. It's been there a while.
Wow. Last question. Do we have any famous relatives or come from any famous bloodlines? I know Annette has done a lot of research here and there. We have a couple other relatives. Do you know what they found? I'm going to be digging into that later when we start our family tree. When I do my own research. But
yeah, now that, like I said before, there was a couple brothers that were in the French and Indian War. But then there was not Annette, but somebody that's also semi-related to us through grandmothers were sisters. I remember the guy's name. He has since passed away. He did research on that side of the family that went all the way back to, I think it was White, went all the way back to Charlemagne, who married Hildegard, the German princess. So beginning of the French Empire, and Louis I and Henry II, and some of those different people that he found through there that came back to my great grandmothers on my dad's side.
So as far as we know, coming in somewhere, some way, we have Louis I and Charlemagne and Hildegard.
Somewhere in there, Charles II, Henry II, something.
Relatives. That's really cool.
Yeah. And the a little bit closer was like some duchesses and dukes and lords and whatever else too, through that line.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah. Thank you for sitting down and taking the time to do this. So, and thanks, Mom, for being the camera person.